Today I'm going to do a little review, kind of talk about bitmap books. That was kind of okay, I guess. That'd be good for the thumbnail at least, right? Obviously, I love playing retro games, but there are certain items out there that I'm a sucker for. The coffee table books, the compendiums, the things like this, I go crazy for. I can't get enough of. I've got Pat's book, and I wanted to reach out to Bitmap Books to see if I could possibly get a few review copies, and they were generous enough to send me a few. I've been reading these for a while, well, mostly looking at the pictures, but that's a lot of what is awesome about these is the pictures. So let's take a look at these and see what they're all about. First, let's take a look at the one that I was most excited to get, the Art of Point-and-Click Adventure Games. Point-and-click adventure games was one of those genres that I never really got into, but were always fascinating to me because I would look at the artwork, the graphics for them, and they would look like an adventure. They would look really cool. And every time I tried to play one, I wouldn't really get too far, and maybe I'm just really bad at those games. But if nothing else, it's just really, really fun to look at the graphics. And what this book has is a lot of screenshots from a lot of different games. It covers some of the very early years of adventure games like King's Quest, and goes into, Police Quest. And as you can see, the graphics get a little better, a little bit more complicated. You go into the CD-ROM era with the 90s. Overall, it's just really, really cool. They have screenshots, obviously, but they also have conceptual art. They have interviews from people. And I got to be honest, like the interview section part, it doesn't really do much for me because I'm not going to read it. And I'm not really interested in that sort of thing. But the pictures, the artwork is what I'm interested in. I'm a visual guy. And so this has a lot of it. And, I'll read the blurbs and stuff that they have on them to just really just sit back and, enjoy the time and effort that the artists of these games put into their craft and really kind of appreciate it. So I'm really digging this one. Let's move on to the next one. This one here is the NES / Famicom. So this isn't exactly an encyclopedia. It's not designed to have every single NES game and show you a history of and rating system of all of them. This is more of a compendium that's there to show and display the pixel art and the box art and the production design. It's 536 pages and features 170 games. It's got articles from leading developers, interviews with key figures in the industry. It's got many featurettes on subjects such as packaging, it's fan art, unreleased games. So it's more of an overall celebration of the system, the NES, a lot of the games on it, but not necessarily a complete encyclopedia that you can go to as a sort of a reference for every game. So while I would have loved for them to be able to cover more games, they can only make this book so big before it just gets outrageously huge. And these big pages full of the pixel art on some of these games, they take up a lot of room. But what it does cover, it covers really well. Overall, it's a very interesting book, and I am more of a visual person, so I get a kick out of the art, and some of these pictures really kind of bring back a lot of memories for me, a lot of nostalgia. Some of the concept art that they have in promotional art that I've never seen before as well is pretty cool. So that's the NES book, and I like it. So you kind of get the idea of what these books are. They are obviously more visual. Another one that I want to take a look at here is the Commodore 64, which I don't have a lot of experience with. My home PC in that era was the Atari ST, and that was in the mid to late 80s. So I don't have a lot of experience on the Commodore 64 other than school. We would play some games at school. Every once in a while something involved some graphics, but I've always thought that the graphics on the Commodore 64 weren't the best, but for whatever reason they have a certain charm to them, and I can't really get my Commodore 64 working. So this is the next best thing, I guess, other than emulating it on the PC, which I do sometimes if I need to capture footage or whatever. I like the fact that I can go in and see a lot of the artwork and the pixel art and graphics for some of these games that I've never heard of and seen before, and just kind of take it all in. It's really cool. A lot of the artwork from the boxes are in here, promotional artwork as well. And as with the other books, they go in order of year. So at the beginning of the book, it's the earlier years of the console, and then as you go along to the end, it's the later years. So you really see a progression in the graphics in a lot of these, and this happened with the NES games as well, to where you can really see the evolution and how the graphics got a lot better on the system as the programmers learned how to do them better, or tricks or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a programmer, so. But that usually happens on a console. Yeah, this is a really cool book, and I think it's probably outside the point and click adventure book is probably my second favorite, just because a lot of the stuff I've never seen before. And it's a big part of gaming history, the Commodore 64, a big gap there that I don't really have a lot of experience with it. So a lot of the stuff in this book, and even the articles and stuff and interviews and stuff, I find interesting because a lot of it I never knew. So you really can't go wrong with these. They're well made, like really well made. And that's probably the biggest plus, is there's a lot of care and that went into these. They're not just slapped together. And they're about retro games. And I love them. I wish that I could get the whole library, but you know, I honestly don't even have the room for them. I don't even have the room for these. I'm having to put them like this on my bookshelf. But that's just because they're so big, and that's not a downside. There's a lot of stuff in these things. So check them out. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to check them out and see them. I don't get, you know, I don't get commission on them or anything like that. So I just wanted to spread the word and show you guys that these are out there. And you know, if you're into books, and you're obviously into retro games, if you like this channel, then you should probably check them out, see what you think.